Rule number 3, never open the package. Where this isn't the transporter, the rules followed by this titular character ran an almost identical line up until the moment he decided to break that one rule and opened the package, almost instantly changing the trajectory of his current mission and his life as a whole down a much different, highly unexpected path. Learning more and more about his newfound precious cargo and ultimately growing a bond that compelled him to help this young child find his rightful place, Din Djarin, or Mando, traveled throughout the galaxy seeking answers in one of the seemingly almost fabled Jedi. Cut to planet Corvus, where we find a lone Jedi waging stealthy nighttime attacks on soldiers of a local magistrate in effort to learn the location of said magistrate's master. That lone Jedi is none other than the legendary Ahsoka Tano, first introduced in the Clone Wars animated series and expertly portrayed by Rosario Dawson in the character's first live-action appearance, an appearance that not only reveals the name of our child character, but yet again sends the titular hero on another unexpected path. And now, thanks to Hasbro and Amazon, in an exclusive 3-pack, we get to reenact this pivotal, powerful moment even without a Disney Plus subscription. But why would anybody not want one of those? Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and in this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Amazon exclusive Star Wars Black Series 6-inch scale, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, and Grogu 3-pack. Okay, welcome back everyone, and here we have it, that's our 3-pack, right? Well, one can assume that it is. I haven't opened it. It's still in the SIOC, or shipped in own container from Hasbro. Of course, this came straight from Amazon, being an Amazon exclusive. Just came in today, so you know what? Let's not waste any time, and let's go ahead and break into this thing so we can see what the actual packaging looks like. It's always exciting. It's like a nice little reveal. Oh man, I got too carried away with the box cover and sliced that just a little bit, but that's okay. Oh, look at that. Look at that presentation. Way to go, yet again, Hasbro. There's our meetup, right? And Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and look at old Grogu. Looks so happy to see her. All right, well, let's start from the back as we normally do. So there we go. A nice rendering of the two figures, again, meeting. This is the full body from what we saw from the front. And look, highlighting the fact that we've got some soft goods included in here for good old Ahsoka. That, sadly, is probably what was one of the biggest selling points of me signing up for pre-ordering this thing, was the soft goods thing with the Rosario Dawson live-action Ahsoka. I did not have one yet. Only have the Clone Wars version, so I was excited to pick that up. A little bit of facts right there. And of course on the sides. Oh look, a nice little view of what you get, right? So renders, yet again, because we're dealing with the plastic-free or low plastic again, right? Because we got tape on it. Packaging, so you get these renders of the characters and the weapons that are coming with it here on this side. And there's that quick view for if it's hanging in a store so you can quickly see what you're dealing with. But I guess if you saw this hanging in a store, it would be a very odd thing because, you know, Amazon exclusive. But regardless, they kept with that same packaging, the same color theme of the Mandalorian. So there we go. All right, you know what? We didn't come here to stare at a package. We came here to open some packages. And let's go from the bottom. Let's keep it traditional here. So it looks like we got 2 pieces of tape to hold it. Not too bad. We'll pop this box open. I appreciate the flex end. There it is. Never fails, that little pamphlet. Nice folded piece of paper. Hasbro always likes to include with all that legal mumbo jumbo. And there we go. That usual thing we're kind of used to seeing when we pull out the cardboard, right? To nicely wrapped bodies of characters in there. Let's see if we pull out that little just like a plasticky type paper pouch that's got our probably accessories in it. Oh, we've got them strapped down a little bit. That's kind of a little bit new for me. So let's see if we can cut them free slightly. I like that because this is another thing that's going to be able to deter in-store theft, right? So it makes it a little bit harder just to pluck those characters out in passing in a store. Again, probably wouldn't see this one in a store anytime soon because it's an Amazon exclusive. But if this is something that they're introducing and this is just the beginning of it, then I am all for it because I have already seen in some stores where there were some open packages. And just taking a quick glance, you can tell there were some items missing, and that is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that these are the times we live in, and that you know, people would have such a behavior or a mentality to do such a thing. Okay, so we already know what these are. I'm going to set them to the side because we're going to come back around to those. I always like to kind of start with the accessories, and maybe there's a Grogu pack in here. I don't know. Let's see if we can find the child, right? So let's start our own episode of early seasons Mandalorian trying to find the child. All right, so here's what we got. Oh, there he is. Look at that. Floating around in there, and there's our first little star. Let's see if we can get the focus to work for me here. That autofocus is not liking me. Let's see if we can... man, he's just a small... There we go. There's a little bit. Then let's see if we can bring him in. Maintain that focus. Look at that little guy. Oh, he's so small, so adorable. Barely bigger than my thumbnail there. Ignore that little hole in the paint. Look at that. Such a small figure with such detail, right? I know the lights might be kind of washing it out a little bit, but the paint apps look fantastic on this little guy. And I mean, I don't think it's really that much different from any of the other ones that we've seen, but let me tell you, I'm a big fan of this. This is my first little Grogu, so there we go. I'm probably more excited than I should be to have that little guy. All right, well, let's see what else we've got here in this paper. Paper's empty, so we're gonna discard it. And then we've got the weapons on a little piece of cardboard, right? It almost seems like these are more protected than they were when they were in the plastic packaging, right? Because how many times were they just put in the plastic and they ended up getting a little bit warped or distorted? And, you know, you had to kind of maybe apply some heat to get the shape back to them. But this cardboard and the tape, again, yeah, a little bit of plastic, but, you know, who's counting, I guess, besides me? And maybe you out there. You know, it's just on that cardboard to kind of help mount it and give it some rigidity and keep it protected. Here we've got that good old classic rifle that we're very familiar with. That old Mando carries around. Excellent to have that add. We've got the pistol, right? Not bad. Like I like the little paint apps on it, right? So you got it took the time to give it the brown handle, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's a small gun. It has great detail as far as like the fine works in there to make it truly look like the machine that a gun is. Could there have been like a little bit of a dark wash of maybe a gray or something on there? Sure. But you know what? I'm not going to be too picky because the detail on these things, on the actual plastic molds and the sculpting is just fantastic. And it seems like we do have a little bit of a wash going on in the rifle. I guess they had a little bit more room to play, and they invested a little bit of time in that. And look what we have here. A nice Beskar spear, right? So very, very pivotal weapon. In this episode and in later episodes, of course, in this same season. And probably one of my favorite reveals in this one is Ahsoka's dual white lightsabers that, you know, just came apart. And there she is, just dual wielding lightsabers. I mean, how cool was that scene, right? To me, I was sold. That white glow that was just shining on her face. I mean, it was just that they did a fantastic job with that scene. I mean, they do a fantastic job with that entire series. You know, who am I kidding? But, okay, so let's go. It's quite obvious that this one is Mando, so I'm going to go with that. I am delaying the opening of the piece that I'm most excited with, just because it's that old thing of saving the best for last, as they say, right? So there we go. There's Mando. Now, this is my first Mandalorian. So I don't have a lot to compare to as far as like reuse, but I would honestly be pretty surprised if this wasn't just 100% reuse, because, you know, he doesn't really change. He got his Beskar armor, he got his basic features, and he doesn't really change it, nor does he need to change it. But you know what, let's take a little closer look at what we've got here, right? So as far as the head, good mobility there. Oh, we got the exorcist maneuver going on, so great. One thing we always look for, and I'm just going to stop doing that because I feel like I'm doing it a bit much. Up underneath, kind of looks like, almost like that fake false head up under there. I don't know if you can see it from the light, just barely peeking through there. Feels like it's on that ball joint or whatever you call it, separate from the neck. And it seems like the neck has a little bit of mobility as well, but either way, lots of mobility in the head. I'm happy to see that. The cape, it is that kind of rubbery stuff, but it does move around quite well on that. I do plan to get a soft goods cape to add to that, third party. In fact, I do already have one from one of the third party developers. Yeah, so I'm going to put that on there. It was a very good investment, and looking forward to getting this figure. I wanted to be prepared for it. Okay, so, and I mean, again, we'll talk about paint apps. Looking good, right? So, I mean, the detail on down to the little bullets in there, that what looks like maybe a clasp, the belt, more bullets there, and some silver on there. and they look like they're pretty cleanly applied. I don't really see any major opportunities there, right? So we'll just slowly zoom in so my camera and lens can keep up with it. It looks like we've even got a silver for the button of this little pouch right there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we look for, right? Those are the nice paint apps that always just kind of help a figure stand out and give that extra little level of quality that we're always looking for. I mean, it's a solid investment into these things, so we want to feel like we're soundly investing our money. Shoulder mobility, pretty good. Little bit of rubberiness again in the shoulder pad, just like the Clone Trooper, the Halloween edition that we looked at. So it kind of rests and goes up above here on the trapezoid, if you will. Trapezius, I mean, not trapezoid. It's not a geometric shape. It's a body part. But there we go. So it goes up there. A little bit of I guess, the butterfly joint going on there. So that's excellent for the flexibility. It gets up pretty high. So again, we can have that swan dive pose or the, just, what are you talking about? The massive shrug. Got a nice rotation right here and the lower bicep right there at the elbow, basically. And then we've got a single elbow joint. But you know what? It's okay. I guess we don't really need too much flexibility. We can attribute it to the armor. The armor gets in the way. How about that? Here's a spot where we could have had a little bit more paint apps, right? Maybe a little bit of a wash to kind of show the difference in the parts there. And but you know what? I can't really complain too much. Wrist, we got a good rotation, and it does go forward like that, so he can grasp things in that method. So not too bad. And then same thing on both sides we do have it, but it looks like the rotation's a little bit different. The angle to shift on this wrist. So this one goes up and down, which is good for weapons holding, and then this one kind of goes like that, which is probably good for Grogu holding, right? So he's prepared for that. He can cuddle him right there like he does sometimes in the show. We got a good torso, like lower torso movement. So we got a good swivel, got a good move around. Not really any rotation here at the waist. Legs, looks like they have a pretty good bit. They don't really do that pull down thing that we're starting to see a lot more in the figures, but that's okay. And these little side flaps aren't really getting in the way of a good side kick, right? So I mean, he can still lay one on a stormtrooper, or like maybe lower torso, or a spot that you really don't want to get kicked, So there we go. I mean, pretty good flexibility there. Look, that's higher than I can kick, most likely. So there we go. I can't complain on that. As far as the rest of the leg, we've got a double knee, part of it hidden by this little piece right here. We don't really have that luxury on this side, but there's that slight red piece. Double knee's pretty good for that flexibility, though, for when he's doing. This is like a Newsies jump we got going on here, so he's ready to be featured in the musical if Christian Bale ever brings it back. But there we go. So ankle, we got a good rotation there. Wow, look at that. That looks painful. That's what happens when you do the Newsies jump and you come down a little too wrong. So forward and back, good rotation on that. So excellent for posability. We don't really have any kind of toe articulation like we've seen in some of our other figures that we've reviewed. But that's okay. That's the beauty of all these different lines, right? From McFarlane to Hasbro Black Series to Hasbro G.I. Joe to Hasbro Marvel Legends. All kinds of different things that they pay attention to in detail. That's the beauty of these different teams adding their different flair. There's our little gun holster, right? So the pistol will pop right in there. We've got this hook back here, I'm assuming for the rifle to be mounted, or you know what? Maybe that's for the spear. How about that? So maybe both. Who knows? Either. We've got this little tab right there, so I don't know if anything can go in that, and we've got a little spot for a jetpack, should we have a jetpack from another version of the Mandalorian that we want to use on this one. So there we go. Pretty good breakdown, great looking figure. I mean, I am thrilled. Like I said, this is my first Mandalorian figure, and I clearly bumped the camera, but I'm happy to have it, right? I've wanted one since the series started. I've just never actually bothered to pick one up, so here we go. Nice and modern. Okay, now the, dare I say, the piece de la resistance, the Ahsoka Tano with the soft goods, the Rosario Dawson live action version that I do not have yet. And there she is, right? In all of her glory. Look at that. Let's see if we can get some focus on that. Let's pay attention. Let's match it up right there, maybe. That autofocus does not want to work with me. There she is. All right. There's our Ahsoka, looking just like Rosario Dawson in some makeup. But you know what? I can't really think of many other ways to do an older version of Ahsoka. I didn't say old, I just said older. And even the hood. I mean, just to start out, this is always something I want to look at, is see how a hood lays, right? Because sometimes you have those plastic good hoods and they just kind of do the poof like that, right? And you have to maybe apply some heat and hope you can pull it down. This one having all that length, I mean, we've got some full-on Jedi capability there, right? That's the kind of stuff you see somebody walking in a crowd like that, you kind of go the other way, right? Why are you covering your face so much? But I digress. Let's start breaking this one down. So let's look at that. Again, and just like The Mandalorian, I don't have one of these from before, but my guess is it's probably a lot of reuse aside from the soft goods cape, which I'm not complaining about. I don't think there has been one that came with a cape yet. So here we go. Head mobility. Decent as far as turning left to right, but you know, being a Togruta, she's got the little headpiece and that kind of gets in the way. Not too terribly. I don't want to push it too much with that and with the cape. I don't want to try and do the exorcist move. It does have a little bit of limitation up and down and all that. Looks pretty good though. I mean, she can still look around. She's going to be looking around pretty calm and collected, right? She's a Jedi. She's not going to frantically rotate her head 360 degrees, I don't think. Who knows? She may be that kind of Jedi. But if we pull the cape back just a little bit, we've got that standard costume that we're kind of familiar with from the show, right? So the robes, the exposed shoulders, and all that. And again, paint apps looking pretty solid. So let's get a close view there. Look at the face. I mean, that photorealism it's amazing. They're doing amazing things. I mean, some of these still kind of don't necessarily look like the character that's intended. Some of them do. It seems like it was made to make a Rosario Dawson figure because it's a dead ringer, right? Does anybody disagree? If if there's something that you think could be better, I always like to hear about these things in the comments. So please add any kind of spice or flavor you think of. But look at these paint apps. I mean, the silver features that we've got here on these little ropes hanging down on this buckle. I mean, they did a great job. I am absolutely thrilled. Again, probably a bunch of reuse. I have really nothing to gauge on because I do not have one, but reuse means hopefully quality, and in this case, it seems like it has. Single elbow joint, right? Shoulder, looks like we've got a pretty great butterfly joint. Oh, nope, it's just that I pulled it too far. So let's pop it right back in there. There we go. But still, butterfly joint and that typical shoulder, so not too bad. Let's see what the wrist is doing here. So we got a good rotation. It looks like we've got a little bit so we can go up and down, which is good for that lightsaber holding, right? Kind of small. Don't want to push it too much. Single elbow, same thing on this side. Same thing with the up and down for that lightsaber wielding, right? So she's not really built to hold a gun necessarily, but she can. She's also not yet prepared to cradle a Grogu, if you will, right? Because well, you watch the episode and you can see what happened in that episode and what her ultimate determination was. One thing that I will say that did deter me from getting this figure, as well as some of the newer Boba Fett's, I just don't care for these baggy pants, at least how they have to be molded to do this plastic figure. I do not care for that look, but there's just something about this, having that cape in there, adding that little bit of detail. It helps distract from it, I guess, because it's not such a visual focal point like it would be here. That's all you really see or all I see is those baggy pants. I mean, nothing wrong with it. It worked for MC Hammer in the 90s, so why can't it work for Ahsoka Tano in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago? So there we go. That being said, leg mobility. This is a rubber bit here around the waist, that little flap. So it doesn't really get in the way too much. She's got a pretty good split going on there. Pretty solid kick. She can kick higher than the Mandalorian was doing. So she's got old Din Djarin beat there. With this design, there's a little bit of a knee tucked behind that. Kind of surprised to see that, right? It's very well hidden, right? Because we have the pants draping all the way down and the knee bends right there. So you can't really see. And it also, if you do it just right, it looks like she's missing the bottom half of her leg, or maybe the whole leg. Ta-da! It's a good old, like a dad trick, right? Scare the kids and messing my leg. Okay, and then foot, same capability, same rotation, same angle and pivot up and down, so not too bad on that. All in all, pretty solid. And if you look on the back, we even still have some detail back there, some good paint on the belt. And then I do love seeing this ribbon or whatever you want to call it, hanging down. And it is rubber, but it's still flexible. So it's just kind of nice to see those pieces separate like that. But there you have it. I mean, that's our lady. Good old Jedi Ahsoka Tano. Always happy to see that. Always happy to see a great rendition of her. There we go. All right, so let's see if we can get the group together here. How about that? Let's bring everybody in. And there we go. There's our group together. There's our nice little family photo that we were trying to get. Just needed a moment to let the camera catch up and get that autofocus. So there they are standing. Let's move on to some of those 360 views. Well, we've got our 360 views of these beautiful figures, and of course it's time for some closing thoughts. With old Din Djarin, the one thing that stood out was the holster will not close when the pistol is in there. The little flap will not latch back. With Ahsoka, love the soft goods, big fan. The only thing I do wish it had a wire to it so that it had a little bit more posability. But yeah, that's all for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed taking this closer look as much as I have. As always, I plan to release a new video each week, if not more, where we take a closer look at another new ad. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, please subscribe so we can continue on this journey together. It would honestly mean so much to me, really. And also, if you find yourself in the neighborhood of the like button, give it a friendly tap and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. And no matter what, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop in, as always, and until next time, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.